Esto es Supply Chain Now en español. So we're here at Home Delivery World 2025 doing short interviews to great people and professionals in the industry such as Kristy Ryan. How are you, Kristy?
Doing so well. Thanks for having me.
So excited. So we met in Manifest, and ever since I've been obsessed with what Kristy does. So if you could share a little bit about what do you do and also why, because I think that's part of the everything that you do and all the power that you in which you do things.
Yeah, so we are a national food recovery organization. I like to say that we are a logistics company fighting food insecurity. So we are really giving a pathway for product that would otherwise go to a landfill to get into local communities that have needs. And given that 1 in 5 US citizens and on a global level, it's a much higher number, are food insecure. And yet we waste so much food in this country every single day across international borders as well. It is our goal that nobody should ever have to be food insecure.
And well, just for the sake of everyone understanding, what is food insecurity?
So, food insecurity is the inability to have equitable access to food that is healthy and nutritious.
So this is a very intense topic that it not only affects people in the US but people around the world. And yeah, one of the most ironic things is like there are food deserts, and then there's places where you have food insecurity. So these two extremes that should start matching each other, right, to eliminate the whole problem. And I know you might be speaking to this at your panel tomorrow, but um, could you share a little bit of what Move for Hunger does?
So we work with consumer packaged good companies, agricultural partners, other food sources to get excess food, damaged product, aging inventory, or just product that they want to donate into food banks and food pantries across the US and Canada.
And what is one of the greatest challenges that you face? Because in my mind, the first thing that comes is, well, how do you get a proof that all these things that were supposed to end in the landfill, how do you then give them this second life, especially in terms of food that people are sometimes so picky about?
Yeah, the biggest problem is actually not the amount of food, it is that companies don't want their brand associated with a food bank. They think it has a negative connotation, but equitable access for me means that the same brand that every other person who is middle American or higher can go to the store and purchase should be available also at a food bank. They shouldn't just get the scratch and dent, no label item. They should be able to go get the brand that we know and trust. And that's really important and a challenge we face every day because companies don't want their brand like, oh, it's a dented can. I don't want people to see that.
Well, and I think this happens also in other industries, especially in luxury, but which is interesting. Like, okay, would then you'd rather damage uh, the planet and not give opportunity to people in need rather than.
Yeah. I can say that from I was a kid, we were food insecure, and I can say that the brands that showed up and became available at a food bank are the brands that to this day, 40 some odd years later, I am still deeply loyal to because I equated them to a value even as a small child. And that is a game changer for somebody who sitting across the table sees somebody having the name brand item. I like to use Pop-Tarts as my example. We didn't get Pop-Tarts when I was a kid because they were too expensive. And so to be able to say I actually had a Pop-Tart and not some knockoff wannabe thing or something that maybe even my mom made because that's all we could afford was a luxury. And I even equate that even today.
That's a very powerful story, and I think it means a lot to everyone that might be listening to this interview. Um, Finally, we'd like to wrap up all of our short interviews here with the question of what's a word that you constantly say in your day-to-day job. And if you don't know it in Spanish, we will teach you, but what's that word for you?
Let's do the teaching part. We say donate versus destroy as our number one thing that we say. So I'd love to learn the word donate.
So donate is donar. So donar.
Not.
Thank you, everyone. This is Supply Chain Now en español.